we could, please. I want to remind the court and the audience today that this is a special meeting. You can only discuss what's on the agenda. We did do an amendment yesterday morning, 24 hours prior to the meeting today, and did an amendment on a couple of items. As you guys have that as well, media, you got that as well too. The first order of business, and I guess I need to do this though first. We will go into closed session at the tail end of our regular business meeting as per KRS 61810, where discussions are proposed of pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency. I've asked Matthew to go through several older lawsuits that the county has pending from some way back, and then currently what we're doing today, with especially in light of the news that the county is involved in a $650 million lawsuit. It's nice to know that the governor's in there in the same trenches with us. His pocketbook's a whole lot deeper than ours. So we will just kind of review those. I can probably anticipate no action coming out of any of that, just more informative. Okay, let's go to the first order of regular business would be the minutes. Minutes from the March 1 meeting. You guys had a chance to review those?
Review and nothing noted. I'll make the motion.
Motion to approve, Keith?
Yes.
Is there a second to that? Second by Eric. Any further discussion or questions? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Next would be your bills list, additional bills list, and transfers. There's quite a few transfers this morning. Those are transfers in certain line items in particular. I can give you an example. Salt River loan, we had somebody make a payment on the note of $25,000. You see that on the front page. Those are kinds of things that happen that you don't anticipate in your, it's a separate sheet there, Jeff.
Yeah, this one we got today, right?
Yeah.
There's quite a few in here. I didn't.
Yeah, I was just catching up for the quarter. I'm trying to get those monthly.
Any,
That's just cleaning up
anything in
the
there
whole
worth
quarter.
noting that we really need to look at?
It's just moving budget line
It's
items.
just like asking, you know, is there something you're trying to hide from us?
Absolutely not.
My response was, is there anything that raised my eyebrows?
Yeah.
I looked through them, I didn't see anything.
Numbers, I didn't see anything crazy.
On the regular bills list, any questions on the regular bill list or transfers? I'll be glad to try to answer those.
I see that the DA Road Bridge got, we was talking about earlier, that looked good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a partial draw, that's not all of it. That's not all of it?
Yeah.
It looks good.
Make a motion to pay the bills, transfers as presented.
Thank you, Bernard. Motion's been made by Bernard Ice. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Gary Coulter. Discussion?
Yeah, just, what is this, the large transfer, landfill phase construction, last page, that's coming from where? 801-1750?
Leachate line. Is that on additional bills list?
It's on the transfers. Coming from 9,200, 9902.
Instead of, well, we've spent more on that than we budgeted for the year, so I'm just moving the money that we would normally transfer to expansion. I'm just moving it to the landfill, what we've spent on the capital expansion.
Coming from,
Instead of putting it into a CD, we're actually just paying it out
okay,
directly to the vendor.
I guess.
And Jeff, normally we got major projects like that. I have a tendency to cheat a little bit on the amount in order not to give away to the contractors what we anticipate spending. You understand what I'm saying there?
Can't use different words, ain't you?
Yeah.
It's not a good word.
No, you're probably right, but it was the truth. You know, you don't want to show your hands, what I'm trying to say.
That's better. There you go.
Is that on the landfill expansion? That's what
Yes.
that was? Wasn't the leachate line, it was the expansion.
It's on the expansion.
Okay.
Thank you.
They're all kind of interrelated, married at the landfill.
So did we get our cooler in, Bob?
I mean, yesterday.
It was on the bills list.
And we're gonna hold it, make sure it's hooked up right and so forth. Hold it, Chad.
The threatened rain today, might not be able to get it
Yeah.
set today, but they come in at 3:30 yesterday afternoon.
Any other questions? We've already had a motion and a second. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? The motion will carry. Okay, several ordinances, or sections to the ordinance to amend. I guess, Matthew, we should do those individually or together?
I think you can do them together.
Together, okay, good. These were the regulations that we approved to move forward last court meeting, you remember? By law, we have to have a written copy of the ordinance before we have a first reading and advertise for a second. You guys received those in your mail. The first item was in regards to the time, or the amount of time it takes to, instead of 6 months for a building permit, we've extended it to a full year, where they don't have to come in and renew that. That makes it better for everyone involved. And the other section was related to the distilled spirits, craft distillery. Entertain a motion to approve on first reading, advertise for a second. The amendments.
I make a motion to approve the amendments.
Amendment's been made by Jeff. Is there a second to that?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Eric. Now discussion. I know you had some discussion.
Just noted that the amendment that was emailed out, I think had a typo and this looked correctly, just, I guess in 6.13. We had some redundancy about automatic fire sprinklers.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that very much. I think we did that.
Was it F and G?
Okay.
They were amended, but then they were repeated afterward.
Got it. All right, thanks.
But this looks correct.
This is correct here though, right?
Yes, this
Yeah,
is correct.
All approved, say aye. Disapprove? The motion will carry. So Matthew will advertise that for a second reading, I guess, in our next court meeting. If you got time on that. I don't think that, maybe we're running short on time on that.
Yeah, you may.
The second meeting's fine, either way. Okay, board appointments. Would recommend to the Fiscal Court, Nelson County Board of Adjustments appointment of David Whalen. He has showed his eagerness to keep us in your district. You and I discussed that. Entertain a motion to approve David to the Board of
I'll
Adjustments.
make the motion.
Motion's been made by Keith. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion carried. Just for the audience, anytime you have a live body is capable or willing to serve on any of these boards, you send them our way, because it's getting harder and harder to get those volunteers. In this particular case, this volunteer, their meetings are at 10 o'clock on a Thursday once a month. Not every month do you have a meeting, but they have to be available. It's usually somebody that can get off from their jobs, or they're retired or semi-retired, or they're self-employed. And it works pretty good. We've had some good ones over the years. 911 budget for 22-23. Magistrates, their job is to provide that to us by April 1st, and they've done so. I really haven't looked through it real hard, because I was gone last week quite a bit. If you guys have any questions, we'll probably approve that at our first meeting in April. That's okay with you guys.
Can you provide us with a copy of last year's, so we have it in?
I can provide you where we are to date, and it shows the budget for last year.
Do I have that?
No, you don't have that. I just got this yesterday, Jeff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it too. I can send a 3-year comparison if you'd like.
that'd be fine. Yeah, I just got this yesterday.
I would point out that our increase from last year to this year in the budget is $24,600. And that we're allowing for a 5% wage increase.
Well, that's just budgetary purposes. We haven't decided on that yet. Yeah.
But that's what we floated.
And that additional revenue coming from where?
Well, actually, the loan to the county that we've been paying $50,000 a year on will be finished in the next budget at $19,000. So that gave us some surplus, and talking with Rhonda, we feel like the tax revenue will go up just a little bit to offset that as well.
Thank you.
On that loan, that was a $50,000 note, right?
No, it was more than that.
I mean, I'm talking about left on it.
Left for next year is $19,000.
Oh, is it $50,000 this year?
We've been paying
Currently?
for 2 years.
Yeah. And then, so you have 19 in the new budget, okay. I just haven't updated on it. That's worked out good for everybody. So we'll bring that back and look at it at our next court meeting. a program called the Backups Program. I sent that to you guys, and Raymond had discussed it at one of our previous court meetings. Raymond, I guess we probably need a little update on language on some of these and work. I think the court, what I feel like the court's generally in favor of this program, here in the single responses. Only question I have is that the counties that are listed here are not directly close to us.
We're trying, we contacted, of course, the board is a law enforcement agencies, so their normal duties are just like me. So we're trying to get a list of the current counties surrounding. I know that Marion County is involved in it because I talked to Sheriff Clemens. I believe LaRue is in it, and I know Hardin County is in it.
That'd be good, yeah.
So pretty much everybody around us was involved in it, and including smaller city agencies. And what this program does, it allows us to go into other counties to investigate our cases and not tie up their resources and vice versa, coming them into Nelson County. Crime does not stop at the county line, and it gives us the luxury to go investigate. We have a $28,000 side-by-side stolen out of here. It's been seen in Estill County, Clark County, and Laurel County. And most likely this young man that stole the side-by-side lives in Laurel County. It's been spotted at Wildcat multiple times in the last 2-3 days. It would give us the luxury to go down there and investigate ourselves.
What about like when you had, like we had the tornado in western Kentucky last year? If you go down there and work, this will give you arrest powers and so forth, there, jurisdiction there.
Correct.
Whereas now you do not have that jurisdiction.
Correct.
Okay.
We would have to be like what we did in Graves County, where we were involved in the emergency order, and it gives us the arrest powers to be down there and actually be down there.
Yeah.
I have a question, so.
Go ahead.
So if you go into another county, one of your detectives, and get in a confrontation with someone, and deadly force is used, does that come back on us, on our insurance? Because you're in another county, or do we have that jurisdiction?
It would cover us under being allowed to be in another county.
As far as a lawsuit?
Yeah, what the backups will allow Nelson County to do is to go in and exercise jurisdiction in LaRue County. If something goes bad in LaRue County at the hands of Nelson County's still on the hook. So if somebody comes into Nelson County and something goes wrong.
It's the same thing as being here,
Right.
basically. Yeah.
Well, does all the other counties,
Right.
does all the other counties have to be on this too, this backup?
They don't, but it's a luxury that they don't tie up another resource from another county.
Well, maybe some law enforcement don't want you in their county. Is that, I don't know.
That's not the case
Okay.
now, because resources are getting thin everywhere. It ain't just state police, and it ain't other small agencies. People don't want to be the police, pay ain't right, and who wants to go do this job and be criticized for doing something, whether it's right, and they're getting sued for doing the job. So it gives the luxury for us to investigate our cases in another area. We still do the courteous and say, hey, Sheriff, we're going to be in your county, so when they see a marked unit or unmarked, they know what's going on.
Does this work both ways, this vice versa, so counties that participate in backup, they'll also be able to come into Nelson County?
Multiple times, and they're easy to work with. That Sheriff Herron called us, and we backed them up on a barricaded subject, and they also called Louisville Metro to get their SWAT team to come down. And that night there was a shooting, and we were backing them up, and Louisville Metro got the guy out, and we were just there for support.
Okay.
Good deal.
Well, we get the proper paperwork, Raymond will bring it back to the court. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Go on to the jail report. I'm going to pass out, by statute, I'm required to present to the court proposed budget for the 23 year, April 1. And that will become part of a working document for a full budget. We've got some past history on there for you to review later on.
Thank you.
Mark, make sure you mark that draft when you put it in the minutes, if you don't mind, please. Okay. Basically, the bottom line is that the jail continues to bleed the general fund in transfers. I think we're looking at about almost $1.8 million from the general fund to subsidize the jail. That's up about $700,000 over the last 3 or 4 years.
Is it really?
Yep. Everett County's dealing with it.
Where's the access cost mostly coming from, Dean? Can you say right off?
Well, of course, we've got a more consistent medical program there at the jail, which is required. The food prices are up tremendously, even though we've got less than, we used to keep 130 to 150 inmates. We're spending more money now because of the food prices.
Maybe a lot of stuff is doubled compared to what it was.
But that's just part of it.
It's gone outrageous.
And of course, we added two new deputies down there about a year or so ago, right? 2 years ago, yeah. So all that adds up to, just a deputy, a full-time deputy with benefits and all, you can be anywhere from $75,000 to $95,000.
Those things are old and wearing out.
Yeah, but those are generally one-time costs, but the ongoing expenses, but we'll review that in a lot of detail when we go to the full budget process. And I'm required by statute to have that to you by May 1. You guys okay with moving on?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
on this report, the previous budget, these are actual numbers, right? Not budgeted numbers for fiscal year 18.
18 and 19 and 20 are actuals. 21 and 21 are actuals.
Okay.
Just want to kind of give you some, it helps me when I prepare a budget.
Oh, yeah, sure, love that.
Don't want to give too much. No, I'm messing with you.
What was that word you used earlier?
Hey, I don't even remember what,
Oh, yeah, it's best not to remember those
Yeah,
words.
don't say it again.
Don't say it again.
I put jail locks on there on the agenda, but because I know you gave me a proposal for it, but our regulation, we really, administrative code, we really need a quote on it.
We found another company this morning.
Okay. Yeah, just bring that to the next court meeting. We'd like to get that in this year's fiscal year if I could, budgetary purposes
We
why.
found another lock company this morning.
Okay. Now, the lock company, the one quote is $46,750, so keep that in mind.
How many locks is it?
It is,
It's just the front door.
Don't need one on the front door.
you guys have really had your Cheerios this morning, haven't you? It's looking like 13 and 9 is 22.
$50,000.
Quite a few locks there.
How many of those?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11.
But some of that might be the keys to go with some of those, so yeah.
Are those the kind of locks you can operate
Electronic
Electronic.
operating control room.
from the control room?
So now someone's got to where it'll open, but you got to lock it manually
Right,
with the override key.
got you.
Bear in mind, there's only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 companies in the whole United States that probably makes these, so we're at a little mercy here when we're dealing with these companies.
How much you say, 47,000?
That's the estimate at this point. And we probably will go ahead and since our administrative does call, we probably should advertise that just to be legal, Buck, and I'll take care of that part of it.
Are those, is that the total of locks that you would have to, or are those just the ones that need immediate attention, or do you think it's something?
All the electronic locks need immediate attention.
Those are original locks, Austin, aren't they?
And so that's the total of that, Buck? That figure is the total of all your electronics?
That's the straighten the doors out where they're being kicked on so much
Mm.
and replace all the locks and everything. That's to do the whole hardware and everything that needs replaced.
Cheaper than a new jail.
I mean,
I think what he's
you can't
asking-
argue with it?
But I think what he's asking is that all the doors, you won't have any that won't need to be updated later,
If they updated now, that, yeah, they would last for,
but it's all the locks.
Right.
Okay.
right.
Yeah, okay, so you think you're gonna have some extra ones, Jessica?
I mean, they're in working order now, but they're original also, so you have issues of trying to get those locks open on the manual locks. I mean, I think they're okay for right now, but I'm not saying down the road you're not gonna have, because those are also original.
So in other words,
These are
it's not,
just the electronic
it's
locks.
not for all the
Two
locks.
mechanisms on there. You got the electronic lock, and some of those bays got an override key that overrides electronic, get in by manual.
I understand.
One of them, we have to, open by electronic, but we have to use lock by manual.
Gotcha.
Okay. Anything of your regular report there, Buck?
It says this morning we have 180 inmates, 39 are state, 69 are county, 56 of them are wait for circuit court cases, 13 for district court, 88 are males, and 20 are females, and we're still clear of COVID.
Any questions for Buck on the report? Moving on then, EMS report.
February, Lincoln comes in at 592 calls were responded to. 429 of those were transported, 163 were non-transport. Out of that 163, 21 of those were lift assist only. And we're averaging about a little over 20 calls per day now, 20.9. Talk about weather sirens again, real quick. Last Monday and Tuesday, we made another round on all the sirens in the county. We've had some issues with the dispatch consoles and how they send tones out not activating the siren. So I can do it for my truck. I have an encoder in my truck. I can do it manually that way. We got Southern Communications finally to understand the issue, which basically the tone, DTMF tone was going out so rapid, a lot of the sirens, especially in the further south and further northeast end, couldn't capture that tone. So on Tuesday, we worked together with Southern Communications, and I was at Sirens, and John Hendricks was at Sirens, and we were just back and forth testing. They finally got the speed of the tone going out lowered enough, about 5 dB. Jeff probably understands that. 5 dB was all it took to slow it down enough that the sirens were catching it. Luckily, Wednesday, we had the tornado warnings and the sirens worked. Now, on social media, I was hammered on one side, I was praised on the other side. Again, for the media, sirens are not meant to warn you inside a facility. That's not their intent. Several people were asking why we didn't have a siren in this particular subdivision, why we didn't have a siren at this particular school. So, we have the sirens placed, 17 of them around the county in strategic areas. Yes, we could use more sirens. That's something for us to look at down the road. But for all practical purposes, the sirens did what they were supposed to do Wednesday during the morning. They're being tested every night at 6 o'clock. I still would like to push out that Smart 911 gives you the warnings and information. Warnings come straight from National Weather Service to your Smart 911 app. National Weather Service pushes out a lot of warnings themselves to your phones, but Smart 911 can give you more information, and our dispatch center can actually give you more information through Smart 911. The third option there is I would encourage folks to get a NOAA weather radio with a battery backup and have that in your home. Now, having said all that, we still have a problem with the City of New Haven siren that we're working on. Keith, I've had several calls from down there, but that is a 1950s
That's an old one.
model
Yeah.
siren. It's
Civil defense, I believe.
Civil defense siren.
Yeah, it is.
And the problem is it has an old radio receiver in it that is a crystal-based receiver. We're pushing the signal out through digital, and it's an analog, and we've got to come up with a solution. I think we have it. We're going to try to put in next week an analog radio at dispatch just for that siren and set it off that way. But we found out that Northeast Nelson, the frequency that's on is Northeast Nelson's fire frequency, and they went digital And when we changed those radios, we didn't take into account that that New Haven weather siren was still on analog. So we'll get that taken care of, but luckily we did those things Monday and Tuesday, and I felt real good about how they worked on Wednesday night.
Would it be too expensive to convert it to a digital receiver?
Yeah, it's like $2,500 just per receiver to convert that old siren, so.
And that's the city of New Haven siren. It's-
Right,
they want to
right.
Keep that.
Yeah,
Put those in.
It would be, before we put that kind of money into a receiver for it, my opinion, it would be better to replace the siren with a newer model.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're about 20
But
grand.
I think we've got this really worked out.
But the county's got one down there too, correct? Or not?
No, we don't have a county siren in New
City
Haven.
limits, yeah.
We have Hardstown, New Hope, but no, not a county siren. We've always used that one.
When that siren was first put in, it was just put in for a 6 o'clock thing, right?
For fire, it was the old fire station, when the fire station was there. That's how they notified their firemen. And then it was set up to test at 6 o'clock every day. Started out at noon every day and they moved it to 6.
Well, I seen on social media, they was raising Cain, said it sounded too much like an ambulance.
I take full responsibility for that. On Tuesday, the problem with the sirens is in alert tone, it starts off low and it goes up to a high pitch and it stays at that high pitch. Well, it's tough on the speakers, plus for us older folks, when you get to a certain dB, you don't hear it.
Can the rest of us understand that DB, just not Jeff? Can we understand?
Well,
Go ahead.
a certain high pitched tone, some
I know it's
hear it
something.
real well, but humans don't. So we thought that it might be better to have that go from low to high, back to low, to high, back to high, so that the sound would penetrate more. No, we're putting it back Monday to the, some of the sirens sounded good, but the older sirens sound like chickens squealing or something. I don't know. But yeah, I got a lot of pushback on that, so we're gonna change that.
Appreciate the efforts there, Joe, you and Eva.
Sorry, Jeff.
I saw your head technician there the other day,
Yeah,
Eva.
Took Eva to New Hope last Tuesday with me and sent in a picture of her working on the internal component that wasn't good.
Lee, Road Department report.
So we're currently in phase 2 of the bulky item pickup. We started phase 2 in the Nat Rogers, Icetown area. We've moved through Howardstown and currently in New Hope. And, so we'll be working our way back towards Highway 49. We do have an issue with the road slide on Spalding Hollow. We had to go out there a couple Fridays ago, or 2 Thursdays ago, I guess, and do a temporary repair. So there's like 3 people that it affects, so they can get back to their houses. And we're monitoring this slide. Brad and I are going out there 2 or 3 times a week.
Is that close to the creek there?
Yes.
Back.
That's one of the projects I want to talk to you before we do the budget.
Number one, done got his share right now. That was last year.
We're working on this year.
So when we get out bulky item pickup, that'll be one of our projects we're going to have to address. We also had time, we finished the phase 1 of bulky item early, and we was having some complaints in the King Road area, and we went out there and cleaned some ditches. On March 12th, we had to plow and salt roads from a winter storm. The good side is we only used about 30 tons of salt for that event. The road temperatures were still quite warm, and it came off pretty well. There's some areas that had some ice on it that we had to use salt on. But overall, that was a real light event for us. This season, we've used approximately 860 tons of salt. That's all I have.
Any questions for Lee?
No, thank you, Lee, for everything.
Brad is going to talk about the next item, miners lane improvements.
Okay, we've had a request from Heaven Hill to do some improvements to Miners Lane. Jeff, that's in your district, you know where Miners Lane is? It's where they're building their new warehouses. Basically, the entrance into that particular road is a little more narrow than what they needed for what activities they got coming in, the radiuses. So there is a KRS I worked with Matthew on, I think I've forwarded all to you guys. It's KRS 178-117, which talks about how when a private entity wants to improve a public road. So today's process from you guys is officially saying, yes, we will permit them to do that at their cost with my oversight and approval of the plans. But it takes you guys saying, yes, you will allow private entity to do improvements to a public road.
Just so the court knows, this Miners Lane was a stub basically that the state put in when they put the new road through. Am I correct in saying
I
that?
think it's a part of where the old rural road that we inherited, I believe.
It may have been, but they
It's
overlaid
just a
it.
little bit of nothing,
Yeah, not very much, yeah.
right? Am I correct?
Oh, it's an awesome road. What are you talking about? I actually went there this morning to double check to make sure we're not having any issues with what's going on, you know, with all their activities.
Yeah.
The road's in great shape right now. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, when the state does a project, they do the roads a lot thicker with their asphalt and rock, and so it's held up very well throughout the year. So they're going to have to match what the state did as far as their asphalt and rock thicknesses on whatever improvements they do. And I've got a set of plans I can show you guys. I think I forwarded it.
You did, you
all.
forwarded it to us.
You need a motion.
Need a motion to approve the improvements to Miners Lane with Heaven Hill paying the cost.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Jeff, second by Gary. Any further discussion or questions? All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? And motion will carry.
Jeanette, you need copies of this or you have?
I got it, thank you.
Okay, Brad, you got anything else?
So our bridges continue to move forward. Keith, you know, we were there yesterday. They set the beams at D Head Road. So that road just now needs really cleanup. The county's responsible for building the approaches. Well, here we are right in the middle of bulky item. So we'll have to schedule that in some form or fashion and how we work that into the system. It may, Keith knows, it may sit there a week or so. That's not the approaches to it. We'll just have to work that in as far as doing a project this time of the year when in the middle of bulky item. But Keith, you've seen it. I mean, it's
looks good.
Excellent job.
You know,
Excellent job. I want to thank Fiscal Court again for going on with that project. It was an excellent job, and Brad did an excellent job. His team's done an excellent job on it, and I want to thank everyone involved.
So Gary's project.
One another.
So we continue to work on that.
Talk about one over.
He's already working on next year. He said.
So we got the bridge on Woodlawn Road, it's right at the intersection of Tom Greer. That one's slower, knows how I say that.
It's a different bridge though.
It is a different bridge. The gentleman claims they're gonna pour the wall tomorrow or Thursday. That's what he claims. And then once they pour the wall, they have steel I-beams instead of concrete. Because that one's a little shorter, it was a little cheaper way to, at the time we bought the design that one. So we continue to fight it, that's all I can say, Gary.
And the deadline was
Was March 4th.
Yeah.
And the extension you put on for him for the sick days and flood and snow goes up to?
Judge Watson and I have spoken. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Let me do this. I don't know what
I'm asking.
Hey, I know how to dance.
So today's what, the 22nd? Okay, so if he's not substantially completed by March 31 days, 31st, then the liquidated damages will kick in.
Okay.
That's the worst thing you want to do is cause a contractor to walk off a job and go through the legal process of calling the bond in. Matthew can tell you that.
It's a mess.
Yeah, so that's why I'll give him a few extra days.
Could sit for a long time too, if that happens.
Oh, yeah. Remember the senior citizen building had a little problem with the contractor at that. It took us a little while to get that finished. So anyway, I think it'll work out. We put a little fire underneath the contractor. Of course, not a good time to build any kind of bridge in the wintertime, I promise you. No matter who you are. But I took the heat there, Brad, so you know.
I appreciate that.
Landfill solid waste. John?
Here's the numbers through week one, if you'll pass those down. So basically, for the first week, we had cubic yards, 640 cubic yards, 124 tons. 1,070 tires for a cost of $5,339. So it's comparable to last year, but a little bit more than last year. The good thing about the tires,
Phase one or week one?
week one. The good thing about the tires this year, we have a tire amnesty. That's going to be May 5th, 6th, and 7th. So we don't have to pay to get those hauled off this year. That's a big benefit. So if everybody can't get your tires out for bulky auto, you can bring them out to the fairgrounds at that time.
And May 6th, 7th, and, no.
5th, 6th, and 7th. So that'd be a Thursday, Friday, and about a half day on Saturday. But we'll run some ads in the paper and get those.
Yeah, be sure. I've had several phone calls on that.
So I'm getting calls about people didn't get them out early, they had to go back and pick up, or is that pretty good?
We got certain districts worse than other districts.
It happens.
It seems like it's only the first district that,
And the-
gets in trouble, I don't know.
The first round, you mean?
The first round?
Yeah.
Well, that's better. Mine was second round. You said first district. You didn't.
I knew what he was. I was hoping that's what it was.
No, have you really?
We've got a few, and then we also get a few of, my neighbor has stuff out for a month now or 2 months now. When you get to come get it? So we just tell them we get to it as soon as we can.
Okay.
And tell them we're scheduled.
Okay, this time, there will not be any old or new business because I put down there, and we shouldn't have to put that on there because there is a special meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I'm past you. Sorry about that.
Pretty busy out at the park right now. I was talking to Brad yesterday. Baseball has 724 kids
Wow.
out this year.
How
Isn't that
many?
up quite a bit?
724.
Wow.
We are the largest little league in the state.
And Derek, what's the typical number, so we know what a typical number is?
Typically, we've been anywhere from 5, since I've been there for 12 years, 603 was the highest number I personally seen. We do not have enough fields to support practice. Barstown's already building the field, Foster Heights is getting ready to start building the field for practice only.
Yeah.
And
Just put them over on the football fields and tell them throw the balls around and hit them like we used to at the neighborhood.
but we're roughly 65 to 70 teams.
Yeah, well, good. That's a good thing.
I know, it's good.
Yeah.
Could you convert that football field into a diamond?
Yeah, but see, next year, if you do that, and the next year they have
I
the
know, but
regular
I'm
amount.
not saying.
I promise you,
back
go
stop
inside.
and all, maybe just a
So,
little
I did
practice.
that for soccer too, for U6 soccer. So they basically kind of spread soccer out. They took U6 soccer and put on the football field this year, and it's helped out tremendously. We had
Parking and everything.
our first U6 practice last night, and it worked out very well.
There's 21 teams in U6.
Just in U6, 21 teams.
And how many is it to a team? Probably 20?
8.
8? But I mean, counting the subs too?
Yeah.
I was out there watching the,
Let me ask you this, Derek, is it like football, or is it all the county kids come specifically to Dean Watson to play baseball? Like, when we had Little League football, you had a Bloomfield team, you had a New Haven team, you had a Samuels team. Is it like that, or is everybody pretty much playing on the same field in Bardstown right now?
Everybody in Bardstown.
Everybody comes. So would it be beneficial to split that up like they used to do the football, and that way folks that lived in New Haven, Bloomfield wouldn't have to travel all the way to Bardstown, maybe have 2 or 3 teams in each?
well, practice in those areas. Here, let me clarify that. This year, they have gone to schools, and you play with your schoolmates.
Mhm.
It's not like when our kids went through where my kid could play with a kid out of Bloomfield.
Yeah.
Or Bardstown. Derek, you correct me if I'm wrong, this is our discussions. So Bloomfield kids play with Bloomfield kids, and they come up through that school system, or Bardstown, or St. Joe, whatever it may be. So I think your question was, are we commingling them all together?
Yes.
That's not the case. You
Okay.
play for your school, then all the schools come to Dean Watts Park and play. And what they're experiencing is, we just don't have enough fields.
I understand.
Now, I'll take the arrow for Derek, because he didn't throw it out there, but I will. What we really need to do is, we got that softball field out there. We can scooch the fence in and create 3 little fields for the small guys, the ones that he's got so many in. But it's gonna take some money. And I've asked Derek to get a quote together, to come to you guys, and submit it for review and possible, could we do that, instead of going and messing with the football field? Maybe we scoot the fence in on the softball,
Yeah.
and then use the outfield for 3 little fields to take some of this pressure off. You want them to use the park. This is an excellent problem,
Absolutely, it is a good problem.
but
I
we
agree.
need to figure out how to help them out.
Yeah.
We probably have turned away maybe 100 already,
just because there's just no place for them. But what he's getting at, I'm calling it phase one. If you bring softball set up for men's softball, that field is. So if you brought that in for regulation, you'd have 115 foot of dead space behind it. You could do 85-foot T-ball fields. You could do 3 easy. And then financially, it's just the cheapest way, the cheapest route.
So how much does fees and concessions cover on stuff like it, or does it?
Well, fees have went from 90 to 50, so that's probably helped with the numbers.
Because you're going to the schools.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's
But when you practice at all these different locations, it's called, you gotta put them on as a rider. So in other words, it's $81 a location added to your charter. And that's, gets pretty expensive.
That's part of what the fees pay for though, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Who knows why the numbers are up? Could be because everybody's been stuck in the house for 2 years and they're tired of sitting in the house. Could be because football numbers are down and more people want to play baseball. Could be because they switched to this going through your school system. It's a little more cost effective. The schools maybe do a little better job of getting kids involved, and maybe the kids want to play with their schoolmates. Probably all of the above.
They're feeders for the high schools.
And you know what? That's okay.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Every little boy wanted to play on the high school football field.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, when we were in Little League football, you want to play on the high school football field. You don't want to be on that Little League field anymore. Old St. Joe Brett field.
So,
Not only that,
budget.
it becomes a fundraiser for the schools. It's the money Mr. Rodder did it for years, raised all kinds of money for Nelson County High School basketball, and you hit the nail in the head. It's a feeder program. They have not figured out how to do baseball for feeder programs for the schools.
Good deal.
All right. This time, entertain a motion to go out of regular session into closed session as per KRS 61810C for discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or behalf of the public agency. Motion by Bernard Ice. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Jeff. All approved, say aye. Disapprove? The motion will carry. Just remember, I don't expect any action after this closed session. You're welcome to come back in anyway. All right. What do you know, Timmy?
Keep the new judges in?
No. It's called emotional intelligence.
All right.
Today's 23/22/22. Is everybody back? Okay, we'll call the meeting, go back. Need a motion to go out of closed session and back into regular session.
So moved.
Motion been made by Jeff. Is there a second to that? Second by Bernard Ice. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn. Motion by Bernard Ice.
Second.
Second by Eric Shelburne. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Thank you.
All right, thanks, fellas. Thank you.